Hey everybody, welcome to another week of my weekly stock picks. This is for the week of 10/26 to 10/30. Please follow me on Twitter at Don'tFeedBear. So let's go ahead and start with a review of the S&P 500. There's a couple things going on here. Like I said, there's plans of stimulus. There's a lot of stuff going on with the election, so we need to be careful about that. I'm noticing a trend here. So if we take our Fibonacci retracement here, we can see that we hit the 382 level. It is possible we can bounce off. It's not the highest probability, but it's definitely a possibility. The other thing that could be happening is that maybe this is possible that we're actually coming down for an A, B, C before we have the correction. I mean, before we go up and start wave one. So that is also a possibility. So with S&P 500, we're going through a couple different scenarios right now between the bears and the bulls, and we got to kind of just take a wait and see approach to see which one is going to happen. We're at pretty significant levels here. If we dip down to 330, we'd have to see a pretty clear bounce in order to know that this is true, and it looks like it's going to take the 382 or the 0.5. Who knows? Maybe as we get closer to election, it dips a little bit more, but we got to wait and see. So. Okay, so that's the S&P 500 review. We're on track. We're looking good so far. Nothing to worry about too much. Still need to be careful because we've had a lot of chop the past few weeks. So let's be careful. All right, let's jump into the stock picks. So for this week, we're going to go ahead and go with. Oh, let's go over my new slide. So my highest performing stock was Zendesk. So since I picked on 9/21, it's gone up almost 17%. Square kind of took a correction this week and has been dipping down, so it was up at 20-something% a few weeks ago when I started this new slide. It's now at 16.5%. I've now had 12 stock picks either hit their price target or hit the 6-week expiration date, and so far, if you would have bought 10 shares of all of the stock picks, those stock picks, you would have made $1,700. So it shows that even in a difficult market right now, I'm still finding ways to make money and find ways to profit. So those are good things. Okay, let's jump into stock picks. We got Skyworks for the 5G play. We got Save for the value play. We got AMD, my favorite, because they look like they're ramping up for a really strong wave 3, especially with the bomb that was Intel this past week on their earnings. And then we have Zscaler. So I'm gonna go through all those. As you know, I always put my where are we at in the current setup? What's the buy zone, cut loss, and price target? I always put my charts up, so let's go ahead and let's dive into them. Okay, first one up is Skyworks. So as you can see here for Skyworks, it's following along the trend pretty well. We'd like to see one more dip, but we have earnings coming up, so this could take off. The only thing I'm seeing as a possibility is maybe it starts here and it could dip down a little bit more, as you can see with the levels of the retracement. This is the number one reason why it's so hard to identify wave 1 is because you're not quite sure where it's starting. So it usually takes into wave 2, and right now, we dipped perfectly. If this is it, I mean, we dipped perfectly, and we're heading up for wave 3. So this one could dip a little bit. Earnings are going to be a big play. I think it can get a nice little pop from the Apple 5G. Skyworks, is into 5G and does stuff like that. So I think this could be a good play. Remember to set your stop loss. Keep an eye out. If this does dip further, it could be a buy, buy the dip. So let's just see how it goes. But right now it is coming down for wave 2, whether it's done and popping up for wave 3, or whether it's going to keep going. So just keep an eye on that. Up next, Southwest Airlines. Love Southwest Airlines. They've been doing of all the airlines, I think they're doing really well. So as you can see here, we had this huge wedge coming in, and we're now starting to pop out right here. We're starting to break outside this huge, this channel that's been trading in for months. Let's see, since June. So I think here, we got earnings coming up right here. So I think earnings are going to play a big role, and it could drop. The only thing I'm worried about is if it just bounces back down to the bottom of the channel because it has bad earnings. But so far, Save looks like a really good play for earnings. They've put themselves in a good situation. They don't have as much. They don't do international routes as much and things like that. So this looks like a safe pick. They ran last 2 days really strong. I'm in Save. I like them. I think this is a good pick, and I think if we get the stimulus, SAFE should, boost, a couple percent, right, just from the announcement. So this is a good pick, and if we are going to get stimulus, it's going to happen next week. If it doesn't, it'll be post-election. So just be aware of that. All right, AMD. I have been telling you guys, this is the one. This is, it's ready. So I got in a little bit earlier. I mentioned that on Twitter, maybe a little early, but look at this. I mean, it is following the chart I laid out for you guys. It's absolutely going to plan. So the one thing that happened from that one thing that I heard from the Intel earnings is that it lost a lot of it was across the board down, and so the only question you have is, especially on the chip side for the CPU, is if they're losing market share and losing business, who's it going to? And right off the bat, the assumption is AMD. So by that, AMD should be up, in their very important categories. So I think AMD kills earnings. Who knows? We might see them in my earning plays. So keep an eye on them. In this market, be sure to take your profits. So if you're playing a couple options, take it here, here, here. Just make sure you're acquiring profits so that even if I know we would like to let winners run, but in this market, you gotta be careful. You never know; it could be up one day, down another, and just who knows. So just be careful with AMD. I'm in AMD, and I'm going to be doing the same. I'm going to be very careful with it. So. All right, next one is Zscaler. So, Zscaler is an interesting one because if we check the levels here, it's already at the 0.5. So it's hit the 0.5. It could bounce off. It could also dip down to the 618. So that's something we got to keep an eye on. The other part of this is this could be also doing an A, B, C, and then starting wave 1. So like I said, it's very difficult to identify wave 1 because there's so many different scenarios that could be at play. But Zscaler looks good company. They don't have earnings for a while. They have declining volume, as you can see here. I think Zscaler is going to be a safe one. No earnings to really mess with it. This is one I really like, so keep an eye on it and check my levels and see if you like them. So okay, let's go into the earning plays. Earning plays, I'm not going to have to talk to about that much. I mean, you guys know all these companies. I mean, Apple, Amazon, AMD. I mean, that's, murder's row of tech. So I think tech has a big week. I think all these companies do. I think Amazon, they just had Prime Day, but, and they had a nice little pop there, and then they retraced a bit or, pulled back a bit. I think they have a good earnings. I think Apple has good earnings. And I think AMD has good earnings. So I think these three. I think I'm gonna go 3 for 3 this week on earnings. So let's see how it goes. All right, let's go into honorable mention. I got Microsoft right off the bat. Let's look at them. So as you can see here, we kind of have. I've already traced out the fib level. So if you go here, you can see it's already at the 0.5. Is it done, or is it gonna keep dipping down? So that's why it's kind of a risk. Also, the question is, just like a lot of these tech and like the S&P 500 chart, are we coming down for A, up for B, and then down for C? Or is what I have traced out the correct one? That's kind of what we're trying to figure out here. If we look at it though, if this is the correct chart, the 161.8% level, which is usually what it goes to, means we could go on a nice little bull run after the election, all the way up to the 260s almost. So, this is something to keep an eye on. If it does trend up in the right direction, you can bet you'll see this on my picks next week. So, keep an eye on them, okay? All right, next up is Apple. Apple is I love Apple. I've made multiple videos about Apple. The reason they are not a stock pick and they're a honorable mention is because it has not dipped down to the 618 level yet. And that concerns me because AMD did something very similar. I remember I bought at the point a little bit early, and it still continued to go all the way down to 618 level. So I think maybe Apple could do the same thing, but they also have earnings coming up, which throws this whole thing throws this kind of wacky. So personally, I think what happens is there's going to be a little consolidation until earnings, and the rep for earnings, we're going to see some run, and then we're going to see a nice little pop followed by, people taking profits, and it dips down and then slowly starts making its way back up and falls to wave 3. So although I would not be surprised to see it dip down all the way down 618 level right before earnings, and then it just takes off because it has great earnings. There's a lot of different things that could happen with Apple. That's why it's not so clear to me. So I want to put them as an honorable mention instead of a stock pick. So I am in Apple. I'm keeping shares of them. I'm going to wait until what it's doing becomes very clear to me, and then I can go more into options. But like I said, right now in this market, it's safer to do shares than it is to do calls. So, okay, next up, Shake Shack. This is value play. As you know, a lot of restaurant chains have been doing well if they have takeout, but the overall hospitality industry has been hit pretty hard with COVID. If we get the stimulus, this should take off. We have earnings coming up. It has a bit of a decline here with the volume, so that could look good. Sorry, that was the parabola, not supposed to be that way. So as you can see here, it's still going. It's a bit of a decline in volume. It did pop just the past couple days, so maybe it's already heading up wave 3. So maybe we see a bit of a bit profit taking, and then it starts coming back up. So, but what I have noticed is that sometimes it can come down here and bounce off that bounce off this green line here, and then take off. So let's see if it can continue to hold that that resistance line or the support line. So. Shake Shack looks good, I think, especially if it gets stimulus, so it'll take off. Most stocks will, because we rise with the tide. And the whole market will be up, then most stocks will be up. It'd be, kind of rare if one went, shot straight down when the market's going up. So, all right, and then Twitter, good old Twitter. So Twitter right here, they just finished the 5-wave. The reason I'm even putting them up here is because of what happened with Snapchat. Nobody saw that coming, so maybe social media, has a big run here, and we see Twitter, Facebook, all these, social medias just take off. So maybe it's not done with wave 5, and maybe it just keeps going, keeps pushing. The chart says that's probably supposed to come down for an A, B, C, if it's sideways, or A, B, C like this. Who knows? No one expected Snapchat to go up the way it did. So maybe it's Twitter, people will start, liking their stock, and maybe it pushes before we do earnings on the 29th, I believe. So there you go. That's my stock picks, earning plays, and honorable mentions of the week. If you like them, go ahead and leave a comment. I'll answer as best as I can. If you have something you want to ask about your strategy and how you're doing things, send me a message. Be careful. We're coming up closer and closer to election. Don't put everything you have right now. Every day is so choppy. It's very hard to trade right now. But this is good experience. If you need a paper trade, if you want to just buy one share of something and just see how it works and things like this is great experience for you. So, like I said, please comment at Don'tFeedBear on Twitter, and let's all be safe out there. And hopefully we have a green week. All right, take it easy, everybody.